Welcome, chosen one. You are not here by accident. You are here because you are different, set apart from the noise, the chaos, the distractions that consume them. Life is a battlefield, and silence is your sword. While they shout to be seen, scramble to be heard, and cling to false power, you stand firm. You don't need to fight for space in their world of noise. Your silence is your declaration. It is your proof that you belong to something greater, something stronger. Imagine this, a roaring storm, tearing through everything in its path. The winds howl, the thunder crashes, the rain pours. But in the eye of that storm, there is peace, unshakable, untouchable, undeniable peace. That is you, and that is what they fear most. They are lost in the noise, but you are calm in the chaos. You are the chosen one who sees what they cannot, who holds what they do not. They call your silence weakness, but deep down they know it's power. So now, I ask you, are you ready to see why your silence scares them? To understand the strength within you that they will never possess? This is your moment. Step into it and let the world hear the roar of your silence. The power of silence as a weapon. Silence terrifies them. Why? Because it reveals their weakness. When you choose silence, you step out of their game. You refuse to play by their rules. They talk to prove, to impress, to control. But you don't need to. Your silence says everything they don't want to hear. They are fragile. Their power lives in noise, in the endless chatter that keeps their insecurities hidden. But your silence? It's a spotlight. It exposes their fear, their doubt, their emptiness. When you stay silent, it forces them to face themselves. And let me tell you, they can't handle it. Think of silence as a blade. It's sharp, precise. It cuts through their facades. They try to fill the void you create with excuses, explanations, or attacks. But their words fall flat because your silence doesn't bend or break. It stands firm, daring them to confront the truth. They can't escape it. And you are chosen. Your silence is strength. It's proof that you don't need their validation. You don't need to defend or justify. When they question you, you hold your ground. That unsettles them. It scares them. Why? Because they live in noise. They thrive in chaos. And you've mastered control. Imagine a storm raging, winds howling, rain pounding. But in the eye of that storm, there's calm. That's your silence. A quiet so profound, it unnerves them. It tells them you are untouchable. While they scramble to maintain control, you hold it effortlessly. That's why they fear you. That's why they don't understand you. They are not like you. They are bound by the noise, by the endless need to be heard. But you rise above it. Your silence is your shield, your fortress. It is proof that you are different, that you are stronger. While they crumble under the weight of their insecurities, you stand unshaken. So I ask you, will you let their noise dictate your power, or will you embrace your silence and make them confront their fears? They are afraid of what they see in you, a strength they can't match, a confidence they can't break. Remember this, your silence is their greatest challenge. Use it wisely. Silence commands attention. Silence is louder than words. It demands respect. When you speak, they judge, they prepare their counter-arguments, their dismissals. But when you are silent, they have nothing to cling to. Your silence leaves a void they can't ignore. It forces them to stop and take notice. They crave control. They thrive on reactions, on drawing you into their chaos. But silence denies them that power. When you refuse to respond, you leave them exposed. They scramble to fill the space you've left, their words stumbling over each other. They think they're dominating the moment, but the truth, you are. Silence turns the tables. In a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. It is a refusal to conform, to be manipulated. They don't understand it. They don't understand you. Why? Because silence is strength. Noise is weakness. When you remain silent, you declare that their words hold no weight, their judgments hold no value. Picture this. You're in a crowded room, everyone speaking at once. It's chaos. But then one person falls silent, heads turn, attention shifts. Without a single word, they've claimed the room. That's the power of silence. It commands, it leads, and it refuses to be ignored. And they fear what they can't control. They fear what they can't understand. Your silence unnerves them because it's unpredictable. It makes them doubt themselves. It makes them question their own power. And that is your victory. As one of the chosen, your silence speaks volumes. It says, I don't need your approval. I don't need your noise. I am enough as I am. That's the message they can't handle. It's the truth they try to drown out with their words. But their noise is hollow. And your silence, solid, immovable. So tell me, do you see it now? Do you see how your silence shakes them? They are loud because they are afraid, but you are quiet because you are strong. Remember this. Every time you choose silence, you remind them of who you are. You are not like them. You are above them. You lead with silence, and they will follow in confusion, fear, and awe. Silence exposes their weakness. Silence unmasks them. They build their identities on noise, on opinions, arguments, and bravado. But your silence? It pulls back the curtain. It forces them to reveal what lies beneath. And often, it's nothing but fear and uncertainty. They hide in their words. They project confidence, but it's a mask. When you are silent, you don't give them a stage. You strip away their performance. Silence becomes a magnifying glass, exposing their flaws and doubts. And they hate it. They hate you for it. Why? Because silence makes them vulnerable. It makes them question themselves. Your silence whispers what they don't want to hear. You're not as strong as you pretend to be. And that terrifies them. In your silence, they see their weakness reflected. Imagine this, a predator growling, trying to intimidate. But when the prey doesn't run, the predator hesitates. It doubts its power. That's what your silence does. It stops them in their tracks. It makes them question if they're as dominant as they claim to be. They thrive on reactions. They need your engagement to validate their importance. But when you don't respond, their strength crumbles. They can't dominate what doesn't fight back. They can't intimidate what refuses to fear. And you are chosen. You are different. You don't need noise to prove your worth. Your silence is your weapon, and it's sharper than any words they can throw at you. You don't stoop to their level. Instead, you stand tall, unshaken, watching as their own insecurities devour them. Think about this. How many times have they tried to provoke you, to pull you into their chaos? And how many times have you watched them falter when you stayed silent? That's not coincidence. That's power. That's the strength of being one of the chosen. So I ask you again, will you let their noise define you? Or will you let your silence expose them? Remember this. Every time you choose silence, you force them to face their truth. And their truth? It's fragile, it's weak. But your silence? It's indestructible. It is proof that you are above their noise, above their games. You are stronger than their words will ever be. Silence redefines control. Silence is control. When you choose not to speak, you take the reins. They can shout, argue, or provoke, but your silence refuses to play their game. And that drives them mad. Why? Because control is what they crave most. They are desperate to control the narrative. They want to dictate your reactions, steer your emotions, and make you dance to their tune. But your silence disrupts all of that. It takes away their power. It shows them that you are untouchable. Think of a chessboard. They move their pieces with strategy, expecting you to respond. But when you don't, when you remain still, calculating, and unmoved, they falter. They make mistakes. Your silence forces them to play against themselves. This is why silence is feared. It's not passive, it's deliberate. It says, I control my reactions, you do not. And for them, that's unbearable. They thrive in chaos, but your silence creates order, a calm that exposes their desperation. They are loud because they are weak. They need noise to distract, to manipulate, to overpower. But you are chosen. You don't need noise. Your silence is enough. It is a reminder that their chaos cannot touch you. It's a declaration that your control is absolute. Imagine this, a river, wild and turbulent, crashing against a dam. The river thrashes, trying to break through. But the dam stands firm, unyielding. The river's strength is nothing compared to the dam's calm resolve. That's your silence. It doesn't just withstand the chaos, it shapes it. It proves that control doesn't need to shout. It only needs to stand firm. And here's the truth, they fear what they can't control. Your silence isn't just unsettling, it's a direct challenge to their authority. It reminds them that they are not as powerful as they believe. So the question is, will you hand them control with your words, or will you keep it with your silence? Every time you choose not to engage, you remind them of your strength. You remind them that they are not in charge. You are. Your silence is your command. It's your proof that you are untouchable, unbreakable, and beyond their reach. Silence as a shield. Silence protects you. In a world filled with noise, it becomes your armor. It shields you from their attacks, their doubts, their chaos. While they throw words like weapons, your silence deflects them all. They want to wound you with their noise. They provoke, accuse, and criticize, hoping to pierce your defenses. But your silence is impenetrable. It doesn't react. It doesn't give them the satisfaction of seeing you flinch, and that infuriates them. Why? Because silence denies them access to you. It creates a boundary they cannot cross. No matter how loud they get, no matter how hard they try, your silence keeps them at a distance. It says, "You will not affect me. You will not control me." Picture a storm pounding against a mountain. The wind howls, the rain lashes, the thunder roars, but the mountain doesn't move. That's your silence. While they rage, you remain unshaken, untouchable. They exhaust themselves trying to break you, but you endure. They don't understand this strength. They mistake silence for weakness, but it's the opposite. Silence is restraint. It's choosing not to be dragged into their chaos. It's proof that you are stronger than their noise. As one of the chosen, your silence isn't just a shield, it's a statement. It says, "I am above your games. Your words have no power here." That's why they hate it. That's why they fear it. Because silence makes you untouchable. Your silence doesn't just protect you, it exposes them. It reveals their desperation, their need for validation. While you remain calm, they unravel. They show their weakness, their fragility. Every time you choose silence, you choose strength, you choose protection, you choose to rise above their noise and remain untouchable. That is the power of your silence. It is your shield, your fortress, your unyielding proof that you are chosen. Silence as a statement of power. Silence is your declaration. It tells the world who you are without needing words. It speaks of strength, of control, of certainty. While they waste energy trying to explain themselves, your silence says it all. They rely on noise to prove their worth. They shout to be heard, argue to feel important, and boast to mask their insecurities. But you don't need that. Your silence makes the statement they fear most. I am enough. Silence isn't passive, it's commanding. When you choose not to speak, you make them listen. You show them that you don't need to explain yourself. You don't need their approval or their acknowledgement. Your silence says, "I know who I am, and I don't owe you anything." They can't stand this. Your silence reminds them that their noise is meaningless. It robs them of the validation they crave. It shows them that power isn't in shouting, it's in being. And that is something they can't fake. As one of the chosen, your silence sets you apart. It shows that you don't need their games, their noise, or their chaos to define your strength. It makes a statement they can't ignore. I am in control, I am powerful, and I don't need to say a word. And here's the truth they won't admit. Your silence terrifies them. It's not because they don't understand it, it's because they do. They know that silence is the mark of true power, and they know they don't have it. Let your silence speak louder than their noise. Let it declare your strength, your purpose, and your unwavering identity. Silence is your crown, your unshakable power. It sets you apart from the noise, the chaos, and them. They will never understand your strength, but they don't need to. You were chosen to lead, not to explain. Your silence speaks louder than their screams ever could. Now is the time to rise. Let your silence echo, not just here, but everywhere. Share this message boldly. Remind the world and every chosen one that silence isn't weakness, it's unstoppable power. Like this, comment below and pass it on. Let them feel the weight of your presence, even in your quietest moments.